Justice. So right now the moon is at 8.8% illumination in the sign of Sagittarius. We're going towards the first quarter moon on the 17th in Capricorn. Going from that fire to earth energy is going from very like motivated, driven, inspired, attractive energy to very grounded and stable and just kind of like focused on that aspect of things. Could be focused on money management, business, career at that point when we reach the first quarter moon in Capricorn. So, sorry, my hair's all wet, so it's bugging me. Sensory stuff. Okay. But yeah, so anyway, let's see who you are and see how this energy is affecting you personally. See what kind of messages Spirit has for you. I'd like to mention that I do have several other timeless videos. If this message doesn't resonate with you, you know, like if it fits, it sits. If it does not, go find the one that does, right? You know. So yeah. Anywho, let's see. Who are you? What do you need to hear? Ouroboros, infinity, eternal, and past life. You could be doing some past life regression, connecting with people or aspects from your past life. You could be, you know, if you notice, Ouroboros is like this, it's Ragnarok, right? Like, if you know anything about, like, Norse, you know, theology, basically, it's the snake eating itself. So that represents like chaos, right? And they're kind of like in a womb-like state, you know, the umbilical cord just chilling in this little womb, and the womb itself is the chaos, right? And it's like being birthed through chaos, or like coming through something very chaotic and being reborn through it. It got me. So I want to know what this past life regression is. Are you connecting with a person from your past life? Are you connecting with who you were in a past life? Are you having crazy dreams, deja vus, visions? Like, I want to dive deep on this, because this past life regression is a pretty big interest of mine, right? I'm very intrigued by it. So, let's see. See if we can get you some answers you're looking for, right? Interesting. We have the Prince of Cups in reverse. This is somebody who doesn't want to confront their feelings, or somebody who has struggled with that. Alright? And I feel like this is your recent past energy, because I'm seeing kind of an energy shift. Going from the Prince of Cups in reverse to Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups is all about, well, let me show you the Prince of Cups in reverse, right? The energy I'm seeing here. Going into the Ace of Cups. And Ace of Cups is all about new beginnings, right? A new beginning in love. But this is all about filling your own cup, right? This is all about taking care of your personal needs, taking care of your emotional, mental, spiritual needs. This is, kind of that Ouroboros energy. Like, sometimes we have to, like, spiritually nurse ourselves into that. And it is a spiritual act to really love yourself, to find acceptance with this Four of Cups in reverse, and, like, who you've been and where you're going, what you want, and accepting, like, it's okay to feel certain things. It's okay to want certain things. And that's hard when we're confronted with the reality that we have to be able to validate our own selves in that way. What we feel isn't all delusion, if you will. Like, sometimes we feel things because we need to feel it, and shoving it off into the background, isn't. It's like not an act of self-love, It's like telling yourself that your feelings are not very important. Your emotional well-being isn't valid, It's like, because it almost looks with the Prince of Cups in reverse, like, that there's this energy of a feeling like your feelings need to be put on the back burner. And this could stem from something in your childhood too, right? Of feeling like your feelings weren't valid then. Your parents probably invalidated you in some way, or, told you to stop crying, just kind of shoved all your feelings aside. And they're like, doesn't matter what you think, this is how it has to be. It doesn't matter what you feel, this is, the way it's gonna be. And when that happens, it actually creates like an avoidance attachment style, right? Like, and I've been learning a lot about this. Psychology is like becoming one of my new things, I guess. Like, the deeper I go into psychology, the more I'm like, whoa. But this kind of reminds me of that, like, and people with avoidance attachment styles, right? There's dismissive avoidance, fearful avoidance, anxious avoidance, and these are all actually, like, what's the word? Insecure attachment styles, right? Because people with secure attachment styles, they don't feel like feelings are so scary they've got to outrun them, right? People who have been, and it's not saying like you're an insecure person, right? You might have a lot of confidence. However, in regards to your feelings, that's where the insecurity lies, right? Like, if you don't feel like secure in expressing your feelings or feeling your feelings, you have to intellectualize your feelings until they're not feelings anymore. And it's like, and a lot of people with avoidance attachment styles, they do this thing where they like intellectualize it. So they're like, okay, if I name the feeling that I'm feeling, then that's me overcoming the feeling. And that's not necessarily the case. It's like, you can name it, you can address it and be like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm feeling. But it's also dismissive, because then you're dismissing like your feelings. You're like, okay, I named it, goodbye. And then later you're like, but then why do I feel depressed and anxious and worried and all these other things, that you can't really pinpoint why you're feeling a certain way, and it's because you've been dismissing your emotions, right? You've been dismissing your emotional state. And so in order to confront your feelings, and from what I've read, it could take years to master this. I have not mastered this, okay? I'm just telling you what I'm seeing and what you need to hear at this moment. Is that, like, you have to create security for yourself, right? In your emotional state. You have to create a zone where you're like, okay, I'm allowed to feel this thing. I accept that I feel this thing, and I'm willing to feel it, right? Like, this is how you validate your feelings, and this is how you create a secure, attachment style, is through, like, telling yourself you're allowed, right? And being willing to write it out. Like, it's going to be uncomfortable, right? It's going to suck. But I do see it leading towards this Ace of Wands, right? This passionate new beginning, this more inspired and creative new beginning. And, but it's going to take some work, right? It takes some soul work. It takes some, and to me, like, the psychological, approach to healing is just as spiritual as, like, all the other spiritual stuff, I feel like it's pretty deep, because it's making you not only aware of yourself, but connect with yourself in a way that you haven't before, right? And being gentle with yourself, being forgiving of yourself, in situations where, you may have struggled. You may have struggled with acceptance. I, for one, anybody who knows me, like, the kind of person that, like, when people start talking about feelings and love, I'm like, I'm like, are we gonna have this conversation right now? Like, no, I run, and I run so far away. There's been very few people in my life that I felt comfortable to really talk about that stuff, and grow a sense of security in my emotions. And I'm still not there. Like, I'm gonna tell you what, like, it's still, like I said, it could take years. I'm on the journey, right? And with the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands, I see you kind of beginning a journey here, right? A journey of self-love. And love is a verb, okay? It's not just a feeling that you feel. That's why arrogance oftentimes gets misconstrued with love. Love is action, right? Love is what you do. It's how you speak. It's how you, like, behave. It's action, right? And that's why a lot of people can say they love you, but what are their actions telling you? Same thing goes for yourself. You can say that you love yourself. What are your actions saying, right? Are your actions demonstrating that you love yourself? That's a hard one, right? Do you have self-destructive behaviors? Like, do you, like, care about what you're putting in your body? Like, loving yourself means caring about those things. I know, it's not easy. It's not an easy fucking road, bro. But it's a good one. It's a good road. Narrow is a path to the land of milk and honey, right? Wide and vast is the path to destruction. So, oftentimes for the outcomes we truly desire, we have to take the road less traveled. We have to take a path that seems like a lot of, it brings out a lot of resistance in us because it's uncomfortable, right? It's not how you have adapted, right? We all have to be, like, do certain things to survive. especially in the earlier parts of our lives. And it becomes a matter of survival. Bottling up those emotions and becoming a tough guy, that's a matter of survival, right? Like, oh, I don't need feelings, I just need to be productive. Survival. Okay? Once you're past your survival stage and you know how to survive, then you have to learn how to live, right? And that's where you're at, right? You're at this state of like, how do I live now? How do I make my feelings important? How do I not even convince, how do I make myself know how important my own feelings, my own thoughts, my own everything are? That's important, and that's hard, right? Because especially if you've lived a whole life of other people's feelings are important, or these ways are important because so and so said that's the important way to be, and da 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 da. And it's unfair to do to yourself, right? To live by somebody else's standards or whatever. Especially when I guarantee you, these people that you sacrifice yourself for on those levels wouldn't do the same for you, right? Because in their eyes, they're important, right? Their feelings are super important. Their mindset, their struggles, all this stuff is super important, right? And that's something I think that we should learn from these people. Is that, like, it's okay to understand that you're also important. What you want is important. Your talents are important. Your creativity is important. Like, if you are an artist, how fucking dare you hide your art from the rest of the world, because we need that. Okay, like, we need that shit. Put it out there. Your music, your art, your whatever it is, we need that, actually. Like, so you're actually, when you don't put that shit out there, you're depriving us. And that's not fair. Okay, like, that's super not fair. Because that's how we get to know your soul, right? On a vaster level. Anyway, I'm going to carry on with the cards. I'm ranting now. And then we have 10 of Cups, right? Going from Ace of Cups to 10 of Cups is like reaching complete fulfillment. And all it took was you making these efforts, right? With the 5 of Cups in reverse, I see that this journey is going to be one that brings you a lot of joy and fulfillment, right? Like, when you stop focusing on the cups that ran out in life, the things that disappointed you emotionally, when you stop focusing on those, and you start focusing on, like, really, like, validating yourself, validating your feelings, validating your thoughts, not just, like, shoving it off, that's when you start feeling very happy and creative and, like, in your sense of purpose here. And, and for example, a lot of us who've been on this spiritual journey have listened to the Buddha and Alan Watts, and I kind of touched on this in my video earlier, but I want to touch on it again. Yes, the Buddha said you can only lose what you cling to. It's true. The Buddha taught to live without attachment, right? However, that doesn't mean to avoid love, right? Love is the very essence of everything, right? It's all the goodness in the universe, right? Love is God. God is love. If it's the energy that, like, fuels everything. And it's powerful, right? Love is super, super powerful. You're not supposed to not love things, right? And if you see love and attachment as being one and the same, that's that's an area to learn from, right? Because it's not one and the same. You can love the shit out of a flower without picking it, right? You can love the shit out of fish without eating it. You can love pigs without eating bacon. You understand what I mean? Like, because when you eat the bacon, you're not showing the pig that you love the pig, right? When you eat the bacon, you're showing that you want to devour the pig. And when you pluck the flower, you don't love it in its entirety. You're showing that flower that you don't care if it dies as long as it serves a purpose for you in that moment, right? If you eat the fish, right, you're not showing the fish that you love it. You should be feeding the fish if you love the fish, right? Not eating the fish. So, a lot of what we've learned about love, and especially with television and the media and all this stuff, is that it's possession, right? It's ownership. It's what can this thing do for me? And that's the only way I'll love it, is if it's doing something for me, if it fills this role for me, if it's, because all of a sudden, if it ain't gonna do that, then I don't love it anymore, and da-da-da, because that's not love, right? That's infatuation, if that, It's gross. That's lust, bro. That's lust. When you stop giving a fuck about it when it can't do shit for you. That's lust, right? And it's not like it's, like, how do I word this? Like, love is appreciation, infatuation, and lust is all about, like, getting something out of it, right? That's very selfish, and love is very selfless. And so we've learned very different ideas about it growing up. And then it doesn't help when we've got, like, people like the Buddha, telling us don't be attached to anything, and then people, like, seeing love and attachment as being one and the same. That's not one and the same, actually. They're quite different. And then, with Alan Watts, for example, Alan Watts often talks about the monkey chatter in the brain, right? And says, like, to block out your thoughts as much as possible because they're only damaging and da-da-da-da-da. And I think that message is actually kind of damaging. How do you get to know yourself if you are just going to shut yourself down every time you have something to say? Like, I don't like that idea. It's good to think. It's good to know when to stop overthinking, right? If you're, like, obsessing or dwelling on something, it's like, okay, time to switch gears, right? Like, have control over your thoughts, like, master them, but, like, also entertain your thoughts a bit, right? Allow yourself the freedom to think. I don't want to be in a world full of people who refuse to think because they think, like, it's the most zen way to be. No, it required a lot of thought to become zen, right? For any zen master out there, they can tell you that. It required a lot of thought. And how will you know yourself if you refuse to know yourself, right? Know thyself. Above all, know thyself. So, I feel that getting to know yourself, getting to know your ego is important, right? That's all about shadow integration. That's why I love Carl Jung so much, because, like, the idea of integrating the shadow, knowing it through and through, knowing when it's acting a fool and when it's actually there to help and guide and protect you, like, because, like, if you don't nurture the ego, then it runs amok. Then it's something that's, like, shameful or whatever. However, when you get to know it and you get to understand it and you become on the same team as it, rather than making an enemy of it, then like then it can be quite beneficial, right? Then you know yourself, then you understand yourself and your needs, and and also you're able to differentiate between your desires and your needs, right? You might desire for like somebody to feel a certain way about you, but what you need is to love yourself so much that it's okay if they don't, you know? And the further you get on this journey of understanding yourself through and through, like, the better your journey gets. The faster you go from Ace of Cups to Ten of Cups, right? Complete fulfillment. We have Nine of Swords in reverse with the Nine of... Oh, here, let me show you. Nine of Swords in reverse with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. I'm trying to give you more time to analyze the cards. So, the Nine of Swords in reverse, I feel that whatever it is that you start doing, right, it's going to really help ease like the anxiety and the overthinking and the monkey chatter, for example, right? You might actually find peace in your mind through really growing to understand it. With the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, I feel like you won't have to be doing something all on your own, right? With the Nine of Pentacles in the upright, it's all about doing things all on your own. And I feel like in the near future, you won't have to do everything all on your own. And with the Nine of Swords in reverse, I feel like you're gaining peace of mind from this, right? You're going to feel more restful. You're going to feel more energized. You're going to have you're going to have peace. And it's through this journey, right? This journey that you take to understand yourself and to entertain your talents too. That's very important. We have the Strength card in reverse. Leo energy showing up. And this feels like it requires a lot of courage that you may have a lot of how do I put this? You might struggle with courage, right? Fear is a beautiful thing, despite what people think. Okay, here I am giving my my Nietzsche perspective, but I think Nietzsche was kind of a contrarian. That's why I said that. I think fear is a beautiful thing. Fear is a great motivator. when it's channeled correctly, right? Fear can also be a very terrible thing if it's not channeled correctly. And I feel like you're gonna have to do something that requires a lot of courage and bravery, and that's something that you might struggle to muster up. You might even have a weakness, right? With the devil in reverse, this could be addiction, obsession, toxic tendencies. You know, there's an energy of something here that like you have a weakness for something. And you struggle to find the strength or the courage to let it go, right? With the Hanged Man, this is what holds it up, right? This is what creates obstacles for you in your path. Perhaps you wonder, like, what would life be like if you did drop something, right? Or someone. Could be a someone. It's Capricorn energy. Followed by the Hanged Man, which is Neptune energy. And so this is something that plagues your mind, right? This is something that feels like a weakness. Feels like addiction. Not that I'm one to talk, right? But I mean, addiction can come in many forms. But I feel like you will gain the strength to overcome what you need to overcome. You might need a little nudging from the universe to overcome something. You might be put in a situation where you have no choice but to overcome something. It's like, for example, my little brother, he really wanted to move, right? Him and his girlfriend, they really wanted to get a house. They really wanted to move. And then, something happened, which required them to move very quickly. They were very unprepared, right? But after years and years of talking about how they want to move, they have all these ideas, these plans, like they really wanted something, but it just wasn't happening for them. And then the universe intervened, right? Like divine intervention, where it's like, now you have to, right? Now there's a situation where you gotta move. You don't have a choice. And it was like freaking magic, the way that they went from like being worried and scared, struggling to find courage for it, overthinking, to, okay, we're gonna put our nose to the grindstone, we're gonna figure this shit out. And within days, they got this beautiful house, everything lined up magically, right? Like, they got the funding they needed, they had, the resources, everything just lined up. And, they probably could have done this sooner. Sometimes the universe puts us in a situation where we literally have no choice but to take that leap of faith and to just hope we land somewhere dope, And I feel like that's kind of what the universe is warning you of. If you don't leap, we gonna push you, right? It's like being in an airplane when you're like, when you're going skydiving, right? And it's like, if you don't have the courage to fucking take that leap and jump out of that airplane and trust that parachute, then somebody's gonna just shove you right off because it's the next guy's turn to like take a leap too, and like the universe ain't got time to be waiting on your ass. And no, you're not gonna sit in the airplane until they land. You're gonna land the right way on your own 2 feet, right? And so that's what I'm seeing here. And the universe might put you in a predicament where you're like, you don't have any other choice. And this is going to really test your faith in yourself, right? Your faith in your own abilities, your faith in your own manifestations. Can you do it? Now you have no choice but to do it, or, sink or swim, right? Sink or swim. Land on your feet, or don't open the parachute and see what happens, Once you get pushed out of that airplane, I recommend pulling the cord, okay? I recommend opening the parachute. I can only lead you to water, though, I do feel divine intervention happening, though. I feel like if it's taking too long, the universe is going to make shit happen for you. You might not love it, but you will, right? 3 of Cups in reverse. There could be an issue with indulgence or with a friend, right? Maybe you're not enjoying a friendship so much with the 3 of Cups in reverse. Then we have the Emperor in reverse, Aries energy. Maybe you're seeing a situation for what it is, right? Seeing a person for what they are. And you might be struggling to take the lead on something or to initiate something here. But it's not going to stop you from getting to where you're meant to go, ultimately. I see you no longer being held back by these limitations. And these are limitations that you ultimately put on yourself, I see you being put in a situation where you can't be held back by your own limitations anymore because you're going to figure out exactly what you're made of. You're going to figure out that you have that Emperor inside you this whole time. Right? Whether you struggled to have the courage to initiate that role or whatever, Like a prince might be scared of becoming a king one day, but guess what? Once a king dies, he's picking up that throne, right? And let's hope that he's prepared for it, right? We have 2 of Wands. This is sitting on a crossroads. This is having 2 different paths that you can take, right? And really analyzing your options. Like, do you start walking the path or do you wait for divine intervention? Either way, you're going to be going down a road, right? Either way, there's going to be outcomes. Might be better if you're the one to initiate those outcomes, though. Just saying. You might feel a lot more rewarding. You might feel a lot more prepared for what comes if you're the one initiating the path. If you wait for the path to open up for you, if you wait for the divine intervention, you might not feel super prepared for what happens, right? I'm hearing Scar, that song, Be Prepared, from The Lion King. Yeah, you gotta be prepared right now. You need to start preparing yourself. I feel like you know intuitively what you need to be preparing for. With the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, if you sow no seeds, you reap no rewards. We have Virgo, the Hermit, Virgo energy. And this is all about seeking within, right? I'm seeing Leo and Virgo. You could be on the cusp as well, if you're one of those signs. What I'm seeing here is like, it's time for you to find your light within. It's time for you to go inside. The Hermit's always wearing a cloak, right? And it's like, you could even be cloaking at this time, hiding under something. And it's time to come out of hiding. Time to come out of your shell. It's time to leave your comfort zone. This is going to be an act of self-love. The days of self-preservation are over, because simply existing is not the same as living. Alright, let's see what the Kali cards have to say about this. Khadga. A predestined series of events is due to occur according to divine timing. This has been orchestrated at a higher level to integrate the paths of people with whom you have soul contracts in this lifetime. Trust in the doors that close just as much as in the doors that open for you as a result. Dakshina Kali. She appears fierce, and yet she is benign. Her oracle brings the message that a situation which may frighten or intimidate you is well within your capacity to handle. No matter how dramatic or intense a situation may appear to be at this time, it shall eventually be little more than a passing memory and not have any negative bearing upon your future. So, this is what I have for you. I hope this was helpful. Namaste. I love you guys, and I will talk to you later.